Now let's go over the most powerful tool for creating a side hustle, which is brainstorming. So it's really important to learn the most effective way of brainstorming. And this brainstorming process can be used for sorting out your own thinking, or even better, for brainstorming with another person. As Napoleon Hill says, no two minds ever come together without thereby creating a third. So basically, 2 brains are better than 1. 3 is even better. And we've used this process to brainstorm with a small group of family and friends many, many times, as well as with colleagues and some of our clients. And so at least 2 of our businesses have come directly out of a brainstorming session. And one time we even started a business with all 5 of our brainstorming partners. So it really is that powerful. And that being said, it's important who you are brainstorming with. When we brainstorm properly, we expand our own reality by taking in another person's point of view. So be really careful whose point of view you're inviting into your mind. Do not brainstorm with people who are negative, fearful, or who don't believe in you. If you don't know anyone that doesn't fall into one of those categories, either find an outsider or brainstorm by yourself. It's just not worth risking your mindset. Now, ideally, brainstorm with people who are open-minded, creative, honest, and optimistic. So one important thing to know is that your brainstorming partners do not need to know anything about your side hustle or business in general. That can be helpful, but it's not required. Okay, so before you brainstorm, you need to know what you're brainstorming. You can brainstorm your side hustle ideas, for instance. You can brainstorm different strategies for approaching a side hustle once you've selected the area that you're going to be focusing on. You can brainstorm everything that you're going to need to learn, get, or do. And usually it's helpful to start out the brainstorming with some questions, or at least one. So for instance, the question would be, what are different types of side hustles that I'm well suited for? Or what resources will I need to do this? And then you brainstorm those questions. Now, very often brainstorming doesn't just answer a question, it leads to more questions. For instance, you might generate ideas for your hustle or what you need to learn, but then based on what you've brainstormed, you want to come up with new questions that need to be answered. And sometimes you'll answer those new questions with another round of brainstorming, such as coming up with a name for your side hustle. But other times you will answer the questions through research because you need more information. So for instance, if you need to learn something, the question could be, where can I get access to this information? Or who is an expert in this area? And if you need to get some sort of resource, the question would be, where's the best place to get this? So now I'm going to go over the actual brainstorming process. If you're brainstorming with partners, make sure that you have like a poster board, a whiteboard, or anything else that's big enough to write down ideas on so that everybody can see. And also you want to bring paper and writing utensils for everyone to write down their individual ideas as well. So the first step is called the brain dump. And the purpose of the brain dump is to get all of the ideas out of your head and everyone else's head down on paper individually before sharing any ideas with each other. So put everything down that comes to mind. Without a filter, there are no dumb ideas. Just put it down. Each participant should write down all of their ideas for about 5 minutes. And then each participant can spend another 5 minutes coming up with the most important questions that you will have to answer during your research. So I'll explain a little bit more about the questions later. And so step 2 is to set the ground rules for the brainstorming if you're doing this in a group. So the rules are no negative comments or labeling anything a bad idea because it stops creativity. At the same time, you don't want to say anything's a good idea either because it also blocks people out from coming up with alternative ideas. And then after you have completed getting everyone's ideas down on paper, you can come back to the good ones. So truly the best thing that you can do is just share all the ideas without any feedback on whether they're good or not until all ideas are exhausted. And so now we're doing the group brainstorming, and you want to remind them that these original ideas they wrote down in their notes are just a starting place, and they're welcome to throw out additional ideas that come up during the process. And then go through the questions that you identified and that everyone worked on with their brain dump, and then have everyone share what they came up with. And it really is helpful if you're the scribe that writes down on the whiteboard or poster board what everybody else is doing. And then after everyone has gotten their ideas out, identify which ideas are the strongest and then further elaborate on them. And look out for any questions that come up based on your ideas. And when you're done, summarize whatever insights and ideas that were gleaned from the experience. And the goal for the brainstorming session, whether you're doing it alone or you're doing it with others, is to have a concrete idea of what is next. So you might have a very clear solution, but you also might have additional questions that then either need to be brainstormed or researched. And so, like I mentioned, while you're going through the brainstorming process, you might be coming up with questions. You want to look out for what else do I need to know? What else do I need to do? What information do I need? And then you're going to use those questions to come up with what you need to research, which is going to be the next step.